The man accused of opening fire inside the waiting room of an Atlanta medical practice in Midtown, expected to go before a judge in just a few hours. Atlanta police say 24-year-old Deion Patterson fatally shot one woman and wounded four other women on Wednesday. The manhunt for Patterson lasting for several hours until law enforcement says they tracked him down just northwest of Atlanta. Jonathan Serrie with Fox News joins us live from Midtown Atlanta to bring us the latest information here. Thank you so much for taking the time here to join us.
Yeah, certainly, Josh. Right now I'm standing in front of the building where all this unfolded in a medical practice waiting room. The 911 call came in at 12:08 yesterday afternoon, reporting an active shooter opening fire in this medical waiting room. Authorities say that the gunman, who they've identified as 24-year-old Deion Patterson, was only shooting in the building for about 2 minutes before leaving. They say that he fled the scene and he stole a pickup truck from a nearby gas station, but they used a series of security cameras and license plate readers to follow the vehicle up to Cobb County, just northwest of the city limits of Atlanta. They found the abandoned vehicle near Truist Park. That's where the Atlanta Braves play. A vehicle found in that general area left abandoned, and then they were receiving multiple tips from 911 callers, and they had to sort of triage them based on which ones were more likely. But because of those license plate readers and security cameras, they knew that this one particular 911 call in that general area of the vehicle was probably a good lead, and so it led them to the suspect in a nearby condominium complex. They made an arrest at about 7:45 last night and brought 24-year-old Deion Patterson into custody. Josh, he's being held in the Fulton County Jail and is expected to make his first appearance before a judge in a virtual hearing at 11:30 this morning. Josh.
Do we know anything, Jonathan, at this point about a possible motive? We've heard many rumors and things of that nature that have gone around, especially on social media. But have law enforcement officials there given an indication about a possible motive?
Law enforcement say that they're still investigating the motive. However, the suspect's mother has spoken with several media outlets, including the Associated Press. She says her son, who was discharged from the U.S. Coast Guard just this past January, was suffering from anxiety and depression, and that she, a nurse, the mother was a nurse, was trying to convince doctors with the Veterans Administration to prescribe him Ativan to treat his mental health issues. But the mother says that doctors were reluctant to prescribe this medication because of its potential for addiction, and instead the VA gave him a different medication. And so the mother, in her interview with the Associated Press and several other media outlets, blames that, her son's lack of access to Ativan, for what led to this violent outburst. Now, as far as any connection with the victims, because the shooting took place in a waiting room, it appears that these may have just been patients awaiting medical treatment who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the motive, the official motive at least, remains under investigation.
And Jonathan, I know that the other victims, 4 women, are at the hospital, and we heard last night during a news conference that they were listed in pretty serious condition. Has there been any sort of update on their conditions, or do we expect one later on today?
Yeah, they were last listed in critical but stable condition. 2 of them underwent emergency surgery last night. A third victim had to undergo a less invasive procedure that involves going in with radiological devices as they work on the circulatory system. And then the 4th survivor was able to be treated in the trauma center without any invasive surgery. Now, as for the victim who died, Authorities have identified her as 38-year-old Amy St. Pierre. She was an employee with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The agency issued a statement overnight saying CDC is deeply saddened by the unexpected loss of a colleague killed today in the Midtown Atlanta shooting. Our hearts are with her family, friends, and colleagues as they remember her and grieve this tragic loss. A very sad day, Josh.
For sure. All right, Jonathan Serrie there with Fox News. Thank you so much for taking the time here to join us.